It's raining. That has no impact on this video, I just thought you might want to know it's raining. A couple days ago, Spike Chunsoft and Bandai Namco dropped one of the most out-of-nowhere announcements of all time, One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows. This wasn't teased anywhere, it didn't seem very likely, it just kind of came out of nowhere. This is super exciting for me. I loved One Punch Man, and I even recently did a video about 10 anime series that have not been adapted to video games, and I actually put One Punch Man, or at least console video games, and I actually put One Punch Man very high up on that list. And now, less than a week later, a One Punch Man game is announced? Needless to say, I'm quite happy. But as I mentioned in that video, there is a very important design problem that Spike Chunsoft or any developer would have to tackle if they were making a One Punch Man game, and that problem is Saitama himself. The character, in theory, should be able to instantly kill the entire roster in One Punch Man. Surprisingly, I saw a lot of conversation about this online, but I actually think the answer to this problem is much more easy than people are giving it credit. I think there is a few options that Spike Chunsoft could go with. The first option is obvious, but a little bit disappointing. You could just have Saitama do what he normally does, punching the enemy like anybody would, and just have him not kill them. And then the story explanation would be, well, he's holding back. Again, this is a bit disappointing, but it seems to be the most easy option. But I do think it takes a little bit away from the character, so I'd like to see them refrain from doing this as much as possible. This next one's a little bit more vague, but if you've watched the series, or even if you've just played a lot of fighting games, you might have stumbled across a character like this before, so you should have a pretty decent idea of what I'm talking about. You could totally design the character, or any character for that matter, who's just a joke. They just mess around while they fight, they're not trying, or you could even design a character who's working towards another goal. For example, Phoenix Wright from MVC 3, he's just a lawyer who's building up a case against you as he fights you. Obviously, Saitama's not going to sit there and build a case against you, but this type of joke comedic character is very easy to do in a fighting game, and it's been done by many developers before. It was actually one of the reasons I was so disappointed to not see Light Yagami playable in Jump Force, because he seemed like an interesting problem to solve. I do think there's a problem though if you go too far in this direction. For example, if you have Saitama be a joke/gag character, he could have a lot of unique special moves for sure. For example, this is just one I came up with off the top of my head. He could drink like a soda and then like throw it behind him, and of course because he's so strong, that would basically act like a projectile, kind of like a Donkey Kong's banana in Smash. It's a projectile, but it's also a joke. While I do think something like this could be funny, an entire moveset revolving around it would be a little bit repetitive. Instead, I think the best option is to do exactly what the series does. Whenever Saitama is in a fight with someone that he's not trying to kill, or even someone he considers a friend, he just restrains himself. He doesn't actually fight them. He could punch the ground to pop up the opponent to continue a combo. He could punch the air as a projectile like he does against Genos. I mean, granted, the projectile doesn't actually hit him because he punches past Genos, but theoretically he could like punch the air, kind of like a wind palm. I think he could do that. I actually haven't seen him do that because I've only seen season 1. He might do that in season 2, I don't know. But in theory, he could do something like that. But which of these options is Spike actually going to go with? Well, I think they're going to do some combination of these options. In the short amount of Saitama gameplay we actually have, Saitama uses this Aura style move, kind of like a Jotaro. I believe he uses this in his fight against Boros, but we never see him land this attack, so there's no way of telling exactly what this move actually does on hit. I'm very curious to know. Like, is he just going to punch Moomin Rider and Moomin Rider's going to die? We also see what I think is another special move. Saitama just stands there. He's doing nothing. Sonic just sits there and attacks him and he does nothing. He does no hit flinch or anything like that. I thought it might be an idle stance at first, but I don't think that's the case because he's specifically rocking that kind of blank expression that he has. Don't get me wrong, it is possible that it's just an idle animation, but considering the cinematic cut right afterwards, I think this is some type of parry attack, or maybe a move that he has to charge up for or something like that. To bolster that point a little bit, here's a clip of Saitama actually having a block button. So his previous animation was definitely not his block animation, and it seems unlikely that it would be an idle animation because if he doesn't have any hit flinch, why give him a block button? It would be always correct to just not block stuff. So when he's getting attacked and not hit flinching here at all, I do think that's specifically some type of move. So in conclusion, I think Spike Chunsoft will use like a combination of these options we went over in this video. I will say I'm a little bit worried because even though I think I give Spike more credit than most people, I think Spike is a much more talented developer than people give credit. But I do think there is one area they fall short in pretty heavily, and that's joke characters, gag characters in general. I think they do a really poor job at. For example, Sanji's effect against females in the games that he's in, Jump Force and Burning Blood. I don't think that's good. I think that's poor game design. I think there's a way of designing that character that you can still have him fight against females, just not with his fists. You can have him fight with hearts or whatever. Just make it deal damage. Heck, if he has to have an entirely different moveset with new special moves that only work against females, give him that. But make the gag character work. I hope they do something like that for Saitama. Maybe he'll have a different moveset when he's versing Moomin Rider than he does when he versus Boros. I don't know. At the end of the day, that's really the only character I'm worried about in this entire game. I think the rest of the characters should be relatively easy. It's just Saitama. He's the big problem. I hope you're excited about the One Punch Man game, a hero nobody knows. You can of course bet I am. So much so that this weekend I'll be rewatching season 1 and catching up on season 2. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video. I will be covering this game super heavily. I'm very excited about it, so make sure you subscribe for that. My name is Bilbzy, and I will see you in the next video.